What's up, y'all? This is your host, Tarod Rashawn, and you are listening to another episode of the Tarodcast podcast. For all the new listeners out there stopping by and listening for the very first time, welcome. For all of you returning listeners coming back for another weekly dose of Tarodcast, welcome back. At Tarodcast, you can take everything we say with a grain of salt. We simply just want to add some flavor to your meal. So if we're doing that, then we are doing our job. Today's episode is an episode that has been a long time coming. Way in our beginnings here at Tarodcast, we talked about this subject, and even during that time, we brought on another guest to go further into this episode, and now we are going to continue that conversation tonight. So without further ado, tonight's topic is Nice Guys for What? Part 3. This is Tarodcast. Let's get it. All right, everybody, welcome to the Tarodcast podcast. Again, I am your host, Tarod Rashawn, and I just want to say thank you very much for listening and for coming back for another episode this week. I hope that you all are doing well. I hope that you all are staying healthy amidst all this time. I know that the states are slowly beginning to open back up, but even though that is the case, I hope that everyone is still practicing good hygiene, good social distancing rules, all that good stuff, so that way we can continue to remain safe and flatten the curve. So I want to take care of some housekeeping things before we get into our topic, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. If you would like to take our show with you on the go, just know that we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Podchaser, Castbox, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, Deezer, and YouTube. If any one of those mediums is how you like to listen to your podcast, as long as you search for us, you will find us and you will be able to take us wherever you go. Also, Tarodcast is on Throne. Throne is a free live messaging application that allows us here at Tarodcast to exclusively reach our listeners. Make sure to sign up if you'd like to keep the conversations going after the episode. I love Throne. Throne is such a cool little application, and I hope that if you would like to reach out to us here at Tarodcast, that you use Throne to do that. If you're looking for natural oils for ultimate hydration and care for your hair and skin, then hit up the Resilient Lotus at www.theresilientlotus.com. And also, if you are a lover of authentic chunky salsas, make sure to reach out to Morenita Salsitas. All this information, as always, will be in our episode notes. All right, so today's topic, nice guys for what? Now, I know in previous episodes we went into heavy detail, and this episode is going to be no different, but I'm actually going to take this go round with a new kind of lens, and so hopefully you all will be able to follow me as we are going through this whole schematic of a nice guy. So let's go ahead and dig into it. So for the common nice guy, the thought of being nice is supposed to net the nice guy what he wants and whom he wants. As we know, being agreeable and non-confrontational in a nice guy's mind is equivalent to being honorable, dependable, and deserving of attention. It is the thought process, like this particular thought process, that makes this kind of man believe that his ability to respect a woman, namely a woman that he's attracted to, It makes him believe that this is all that he will need to do and all that he will need to be, all that he needs to exemplify in order to win her affection. Now, it's derived from these types of men wanting to be the hero in a woman's story. Like that whole mindset, this is where this comes from. It's like the fairy tale type thing, but the man wanting to be that heroic knight in the story. It's the man wanting to be that hero type person, not because they are actually heroic, but because they figure that they would be a better fit for the woman that they're eyeing. What they want to do is prove to themselves and the world that types and preferences don't exist. But the truth is, not everyone is built to think that way, and not all people are willing to dive into that lane to see what it's all about. Unfortunately, this type of thinking is still dick-driven and not heart-driven, as much as people want to think otherwise. And that's the thing. When it comes to nice guys, they are not exempt from thinking with their penis. They're not exempt from that at all. If anything, that is still the driving force, because that's a part of their lives that they've never had the opportunity to really engage in with a woman. And so, of course, it's going to be on the mind. It's going to be on the brain. It's going to be a desire. That's not something that is lost on that type of person. It's not. So let's look at it this way. So to roughly illustrate my points here, I think about the movie the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Now, I know this is a book. I am going to be specifically referencing the Disney movie. Not going to be playing any clips because of copyright, but I can at least talk about what I have picked up from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. So to illustrate my point, I think about the surface level relationship between Quasimodo, Esmeralda, and Phoebus. And Quasimodo was one of the sweetest people that one person could ever meet, but he was a hunchback and deemed monstrous and unfit to be in the public by Claude Frollo. Now, I'm actually going to get into him later, but Claude Frollo, if you know anything about him, you know that he is a despicable man. But upon Quasimodo's meeting of Esmeralda, for the first time in his life, he is actually seen as a person and not as a monster. Now, the Quasimodo type of guy is not necessarily in reference to how I perceive certain men to look. It's more about the mindset and the confidence level. Because this type of guy, this type of nice guy, he may have a skill, or he may possibly have something else to offer outside of his niceness, but he simply lacks the confidence to do more, to stand out from the sea of men vying for a woman's attention. Oftentimes, this type of guy will retreat at the first sign of conflict. Unfortunately, this also makes them appear weak. Whether it is self-imposed or the work and life of people that they have encountered, if a man can't reach inward to identify and fix his brokenness and find confidence, he'll always be in last place, with the potential to cast the blame on other people regarding his fate. He won't ever see that part of the reason why he is not getting what he wants is because he is taking time to point the finger at other people, regardless of whether or not they had any direct or indirect involvement where he is. It's essentially giving up responsibility for your own choices and your actions, and just admitting that people have more control over your life than what you do. But that is a very, very weak mindset. Now, when I think about how much Quasimodo did for Esmeralda, all it took was an injured Phoebus to land on their doorstep for Esmeralda to finally reveal to whom she was attracted. This isn't really a lost concept, because does Quasimodo deserve Esmeralda? Yeah, probably more so than anyone. But he doesn't get her. Why is that? Well, science actually reveals that upon using our eyes, as people, we find ourselves attracted to symmetry and other child-rearing and procreation details. So for men, women look for harder, cleaner lines, broader shoulders, good posture, height, strength, as well as other things that could be deemed masculine, like bass in the voice, things like that. For women, men look for rounder, softer lines, fuller figures, and weight distribution, wider hips, heavier chests, and things that display femininity. That is just science. That is how we are automatically wired as people to look at other people. It's the reason why men have or work towards having a certain shape, and women are also working towards having a certain shape, because the thing is, when it comes to evolution and how we have evolved and we have transformed what we deem as attractive, we have now created a new template that has given people a way of obtaining that type of shape in order to be looked at as more attractive to more people. And so the thing is, can we really even trust our eyes when it comes to things that we find attractive about people in the physical sense? Because if anything, evolution has basically made it to where, you know, for the lack of a better phrase, the women who had the big titties back in the day, like the blonde bombshells, like the Pamela Andersons and people like that who were just all breast and no booty, like that has completely shifted to where now it's all about the ass. It's all about the booty. It's all about twerking. It's like that, like the narrative has completely shifted. And so can you really focus on what you see in order to provide you that which you should be attracted to? Because that is always going to change. But for the nice guy, it's not that simple. For whatever reason, it's not. But the thing is, the more that you deviate from that symmetrical look, the less mate worthy you become. But again, this is only in reference to the eyes. So if Esmeralda is looking using her eyes and not her heart, well, Phoebus fits and hits every mark in the physical description. That's the truth. I mean, we see it. We see Quasimodo's disappointment when he realizes that Esmeralda is in love with this other man, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. There's nothing he can do to interfere. That's just how it happened. He has a specific role here, but his role here is not to fall in love. And while it is possible for people to train themselves to look past the physical attributes of a person and judge based on character traits, not a lot of nice guys are able to do it. Just like what I was saying, they oftentimes see beauty as the ultimate prize and never loyalty. Even a beautiful woman that's nice to you may not go for you. They may not be right for you. They may not have what you specifically require as a person. And that's just the truth. Because we're all different. We all have specific things that drive us. We all need certain things. And a lot of nice guys think that they just need the ultimate pinnacle of beauty to be around them at all times. But that does nothing to change who you are. It does nothing to add to who you are. And the thing is, if who you are isn't enough, then you must take that time to focus on yourself and improve yourself. Because in that process, you just might meet the perfect, unexpected person that chooses to see you for you. But the question is, will you choose to see her or him for her or him? Will you choose to let go of the vanity? Will you allow yourself to actually see somebody's heart if they want to see yours? And that's the thing. Most nice guys don't choose to see beauty in character, traits, and loyalty, but expect for the woman that they're attracted to look past any visible, discernible traits that they don't like. And in this sense, I feel that both parties, both the chaser and the chased, are wrong. They're vain. And to me, that makes all the sense in the world. Like both of y'all, y'all don't like each other, but y'all deserve each other. Oh, man. So with that being said, we're going to take our first break. And then when we come back, we're going to jump from the Quasimodo type nice guy, and we're going to jump into the Claude Frollo type nice guy. I can't wait to get into this one. So I hope that you all have your water close by. I've got mine. Make sure you stay hydrated. We are going to take our commercial break, and we'll be right back. This is Tarodcast. Yo, what's good, everyone? This is your host of Tarodcast, Tarod Rashan, and I just want to welcome you to the commercial break. Now, you already know what time it is. It's hydration time. Get some high-quality H2O in your system now. Got a few things I'd like to go over. First, to all of our new and returning listeners, thank you so much for your ear and your time. To all of our Patreon supporters, I just want you to know that we are not able to do this without your direct support. So the biggest, dopest Tarodcast thank you goes out to you. If you're listening in and you're thinking about becoming part of the Tarodcast Patreon family, we'd love to have you. You can find us at www.patreon.com/Tarodcast. Now on Patreon, we have 3 tiers of support. A $2 tier, a $3 tier, and lastly, a $6 tier. Each tier comes with its own set of unique perks. So if you find one that fits you, sign up. For us, the main thing is keeping our subscription prices affordable. We know that you work hard for your money, and if you choose to support Tarodcast this way, we truly want to make it worth your time. To find out more about our Patreon and the perks with each tier, visit www.patreon.com/Tarodcast. We've got it all laid out for you. Also, we've got a merchandise store. Pick up some tees, hoodies, leggings, and more at forevercertain.redbubble.com. All proceeds go right back into the Tarodcast podcast and allow us to keep making high quality content for people just like you. For our listeners out there who would like to support us in a non-monetary way, we'd love that too. Share our show with people you know. Also, share us on your social media.
And if your favorite Tarodcast streaming service allows you to rate and review our show and you're loving what you're hearing, take some time and leave us a 5-star review. Ratings and reviews are what set us apart from other podcasts and also helps us to recommend our podcast to other listeners we otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to reach. Lastly, if you'd like to reach out to us directly, email us at tarodcast@CRTN-T.com. That's tarodcast@CRTN-T.com. All of this information can always be found in our episode notes, so make sure to check there if you forget any of the information we just went over. Once again, thank you all so much, and let's get back to the program.
All right, y'all, we are back from our commercial break, and I hope that you all took the time to get hydrated and to just get comfy. I hope that you all are being comfy. Comfort is what we look for when it comes to how you all are enjoying Tarodcast. I know some of our subjects can be a little uncomfortable, but when it comes to the overall tone, I want you all to be comfortable. So, that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, so we're going to talk next about the Claude Frollo type nice guy. So if you haven't seen Hunchback of Notre Dame, you need to watch it because it took me up until like my 26th, 27th year of living to actually sit down and watch that movie. And I know that for some of you all, it is a shame. It is complete and utter shame and travesty that I waited so long to actually watch this Disney masterpiece. But you know what? That's how it happened. I'm glad I did it because now I can talk about it. Now, with this particular type of movie, again, I can't play any clips because of copyright, but there's a lot of music here. It's a musical, and so you can expect a lot of songs to be sung about the different situations that are being experienced at that time. And so one of the songs that speaks out like incredibly clear is that Hellfire song that Archdeacon Claude Frollo sings, and it is probably one of the most telling songs I've ever heard. So what happens to the nice guy when he becomes overtaken by his self-induced superiority complex and growing vanity? He becomes a Claude Frollo. And in becoming that man, there's a lot that comes with him. So permit me just a little bit of time to explain. Claude Frollo is the Archdeacon of Notre Dame. He's a religious figure. And he is also a self-imposed incel or involuntary celibate because of his position. So basically, his religious belief prohibits him from having sex, like just having sex like a regular person. But the unfortunate thing is it doesn't stop him from thinking about or fantasizing about sex and having sex. So in the movie, when the Festival of Fools happens and he sees Esmeralda for the first time, he basically loses his mind because she's a gypsy girl. She's a nomad. She's not bound to the laws and traditions that govern the propriety of the people that are in Notre Dame. She is not one of those people that is bound by that law. And so, because of this, he basically loses his mind because she's so beautiful and free. But he also sees her as the ultimate temptress, the ultimate seductress, the ultimate succubus sent forth by the devil to test him specifically. She's also the only person to stand up to him and directly challenge him. And even this, like he continues to lose his mind. Because that song I mentioned before, that Hellfire song, is all about her. It's all about Esmeralda. Like, truly listen to the song. He is losing his shit thinking about this girl. But one of the most notable lines in the song is one of the last ones. He says, "Be mine or you will burn." Bruh. Like, he said, he said, "Be mine, be with me, or you will burn. You will die if I can't have you, if you can't be mine." Like, bruh. Okay. If we look at a person like Claude Frollo, he is a man whose self-esteem is incredibly high, albeit it still doesn't get him anything. He values his righteousness, he values his virtue and his purity, and he deems himself above the common, vulgar, weak, licentious crowd. That is another lyric in the song. I just had to put that in there. So again, we have a man whose beliefs make him out to be the ultimate catch, but he does nothing to set himself apart from the same crowd he's bashing. And now he's got his sights set on Esmeralda, and he resolves that only he can have her, or else he's gonna have to kill her so no one else can have her. And he can just sit back and chalk it up to divine justice either way. Whether I get her, that's the will of the Lord. If I have to kill her, well, she tried to tempt me. Again, that's the will of the Lord. You know, in this type of setting, it's like it goes either ways. There's no wrong answer being this archdeacon of Notre Dame, is there? I mean, you killed Quasimodo's mom by kicking her in the face on the steps, and your retribution was raising him when you didn't want to. But, you know, you got to find a way to get into heaven somehow, right? Right. Anyway, that's another conversation. But you know, unfortunately, a lot of incels think just like Claude Frollo. They don't actually see women as people, but as objects for their own consumption and vanity. To an incel, a woman is only another tool to prove his fragile self-worth. So these guys will also don nice guy traits, but their motive is to either get the girl or humiliate the girl. And very seldom do they ever get the girl. If they do, then they're like a dog chasing a car. If they catch the car, they don't know what to do with it once they've caught it. I think I stole that from the Joker. I stole that from Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight. But yeah, you know, and that's the thing. It's like they get the girl, but they don't know what to do with it. It's like, oh, I haven't actually spent time developing myself as a person. So it's like, oh, I actually got you. Now what do I do with you? Oh, you're pretty, but that's all I know. And you're doing it wrong. but also for the ones that don't get the girl, they start to resort to bashing women to the nth degree. In the most extreme cases of incel behavior, some have even killed others out of their sexually frustrated rage. Now, these kinds of men aren't fit for any woman. As much as they like to think that they are worthy of love, they know not how to love. And they see relationships as a way to satisfy their weak and puny ego. Now, guys like this, in the relationship sense, are the evolved form of the Quasimodo nice guy. They've graduated from being the meek and lowly man to the vocal, stuck-up, condemning people who believe that their beliefs about relationships and sex automatically qualify them for the next available relationship, as if relationships are a drive-through where they get to select their woman from a menu, pay for her, and then drive off home with her. Nah, bruh. Nah. A lot of guys like this are hurt, weak, and unfit to actually love. So instead of fixing themselves, they thrust themselves in front of their ideal woman. And if he's rejected, he quickly turns to hate. And this hate is oftentimes directed at any woman that they deem conventionally attractive, as if all women share the same brain. Like, hurt people, and that's the thing, you know? But when it comes to incels, it's on a whole other level. They become a victim to their own blind rage, which effectively negates any chance that they may have had towards finding a woman that would complement him as a person instead of just existing as a trophy. The thing is, going back to the Hunchback of Notre Dame, Claude Frollo dies alone. He doesn't get the girl. He doesn't get to satisfy his sexual urges. He dies with nothing but hate in his heart for no reason except that his heart was just as ugly as his actions, and anyone with common sense knew to stay away from him. And that's the thing. When it comes to incels, anybody with common sense knows to stay away from you. You're weak. You're exemplifying that the most weakest of beta male behavior. And you don't deserve anyone's time and energy. All this barking means nothing. So unless you fix yourself, no one is coming your way. And it's funny because when I look back on my life, I realized that for me, I was both Quasimodo and Claude Frollo at the same time. The first 21 to 22 years of my life, I was both at the same time. And we're going to get into that after this next break. This is Tarodcast. Get your water, and we'll be right back. All right, y'all. We are back from our last break. I hope that you all got hydrated. And you know what? I might sound a little bit different this episode because I've actually got a new mic stand. So the mic is actually a lot closer to my mouth, and I don't have to do a whole bunch of maneuvering to, direct my voice to go in the right way. So hopefully I'm sounding a little bit clearer. I'm having to just kind of tone down my own volume just to make sure that I'm not overwhelming your ears. So I hope that I'm sounding a little bit more close, a little bit more intimate. I'm at a place where it doesn't feel like I'm having to cast my voice, but I'm speaking. So I hope that you all are able to hear that. But yeah, so the last thing, I said that I was both Quasimodo and Claude Frollo at the same time for about 21 to 22 years of my life. And on the surface, as a nice guy, I thought that I was going to be the hero of any girl's love story. But because of my religious beliefs at the time, I also automatically thought that I had the keys to getting someone into heaven. So if I was in a relationship, God would automatically just ordain my relationship as an exemplary one. Now, there's so much that can be said about that because, you know, in my teens, in my early 20s, like I really took religion seriously, and I really believed that my life was a living Bible. I wanted to be that kind of person. If somebody saw me, they didn't see me. They saw God. They saw Jesus. And I wanted my life to be that. So if I were to be in a relationship, you know, even better, I would have more of an opportunity to let that light shine. But to be quite honest, when it came to my mind, especially as a growing and maturing young man, my mind was really no different than anybody else's, than any other man's mind. And that's the thing, because I had a lot of sexual close calls. I feel like I literally must have willed the universe to interfere in any of those situations I found myself in, because I had a lot of sexual close calls. And the thing is, with those close calls, that I could have fully like gone all the way, like it could have happened. It wasn't hard to see what my actual end goal was. But even in that, even despite that, there was always that part of me that wanted to put my heart forward first. And I honestly think that that was the only thing that saved me. Because I was the type of person where I sat back in my religion and I condemned so many people. I shot down so many people with my words. And yet on the flip side, here I am, just this meek and lowly, tender-hearted person who just wants to love. And it's like, how can that balance live inside of a person? Well, it did. Somehow it did. You know, when it came to the relationship I was in before I met my wife, I decided that I was putting too much of myself and too much of my time into trying to be the marrying type. I decided that I needed to focus more on myself and the things that made me happy. And when I started to do that exclusively, I began to assign purpose and value to my life that went above and beyond trying to be the nice guy to a woman. That was the thing. I started redirecting all that attention I was trying to put out for others back into myself. And that led me to rediscovering my talents. It allowed me to put myself out there. I did things I never thought I'd do. I helped to create history amongst artists in my city. I allowed my vulnerability to be a strength. And in doing that, I met my wife. You know, I realized that I could have easily dismissed everything about me that made me special and unique, and I could have traded that for hatred and the ever-present sinking feeling that I'm not good enough, even though I want the world and its women to bow down to me. I could have been an incel. I could have. But I also had to realize that it was my responsibility to be the kind of person I wanted to attract. Because most nice guys don't know how to do that, which means that the energy that they exude clashes with those that they seek to connect with. For me, I realized that the only way I would connect with people is if I truly wanted it, and I wanted to be my best self at all times. I didn't allow myself the time to sit and wonder, what if? With each experience I came across, I took it and I ran with it. And now it's become part of my life story. I let go of believing that I was less than, but feeling that I deserved more than. I gave up feeling sorry for myself and expecting for a woman to validate my worth as a man and to pick up the pieces and to clean me up and to hoist me into the forefront and say, look at this man that I'm so lucky and blessed to have. Because that's what a lot of nice guys want. They want the people that they're with or that they would like to be with to say, look at this man. He is worthy of love because I love him and I'm beautiful. So you should love him too. Like, that is crazy. Nobody has time. Nobody has time for that. But I also gave up feeling sorry for myself and expecting for a woman to validate my worth as a man. And upon doing that and learning how to unapologetically love myself, here comes Angel. Here comes my wife. Here comes the love of my life. Here comes my best friend. Here comes the mother of my child. Here comes my partner in crime. I'm like, I don't know how many names I can give her, but here she came. And I'm serious, like, that is like the realest shit I can say to y'all. Like, that's really how it happened. I was at a point in my life where I was like, you know what? I need to stop caring so much and start caring about me. I don't need to worry about everybody else. For what? I'm only getting hurt. And the moment I stopped doing that is when I found myself. And when I found myself, I found my soulmate. So what I want to do is just leave you all with just the fact that it's not wrong to be a nice person. It's not wrong to be a nice guy. But you also have to be real with yourself. You have to think about why you are the way that you are. You have to think about what makes you unique. Because if you don't give yourself time to discover yourself, then you can't allow someone to come into your life and expect them to discover you for you. No, you have to have that stuff in line from the get-go. Because you're not going to do nothing but just be a burden, be a problem. And it's not even going to matter at that point if you've reached that point. Because now, you're nothing but a piece of shit, you know? And that's the thing. A lot of people, a lot of nice guys don't know how to evolve past their niceness. And that is the only way that you are going to be a full-fledged person. You can't sit here and believe that who you are, who you think you are, is good enough. You also have to change what you're looking for. You have to evolve as a person. You can't expect people to look at you and not see all of your glaring faults when that's all you've been doing to other people. So when you change that, you change your perspective and you can change your results and your outcome. So with that being said, y'all, that's our show. You all know how to find us. You all know how to support us. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and also take the conversation to our throne room. The links, just like everything else, are in the show notes. Now listen, wherever you are, whomever you are, I want to always encourage you to be more introspective and vulnerable with yourself. Know who you are, trust in who you are, love who you are. Again, I've been your host, Tarod Rashan. I want to say thank you all for listening to another episode of Tarodcast. And I hope that you all will always continue to make every effort to find and keep your peace. Until next time, y'all.